Watching My New Home Grow, a first-hand account of Allen, Texas. On November 11th, 1993, there was a dad who found out some very big news. His family would be moving from their home in New York to a little city in Texas named Allen. The dad was not very excited because he knew he would miss the big city of New York where there were so many people to meet and so many things to do. But the dad knew he had to move, so the family packed up their bags and boarded a plane and headed down to their new home in Allen. When the family got to Allen, the dad looked around and saw that it was a very small little town. Most intersections only had stop signs, and there were only 2 major roads in the whole city. As they drove to their new home, the dad decided to drive around Allen and get to know their new city. The first thing he noticed was a sign that said population 26,432. This meant that there were 26,432 people in the entire city. That may sound like a lot of people, but compared to the family's old home in New York, it sounded very small. Plus, the town was very spread out, so it felt like even less people. To make it even worse, the family was moving in on the west side of town, where there was only one tiny neighborhood that had just started being built. The only other thing on the west side of town was a McDonald's. All of the feelings that the dad had before moving about Allen not being as exciting of a place to live started coming back. Who would the family be friends with? What was there to even do in this town? He noticed how much he liked the small town feel, but was nervous about how long he could enjoy it before getting bored. The next month, the dad was sitting down and reading the Allen American, the town's local newspaper, and saw an article that made him excited. A bond that had passed was going to start building new roads, more schools, new parks, and shopping centers in town. Although Allen had been around for hundreds of years, it seemed like it was just now beginning to transform and transition from a small farming town into a major business and residential destination. Over the next year, the dad watched as more and more buildings, houses, parks, and roads started popping up everywhere. He noticed that all of these new additions were bringing more and more people to Allen, both to visit and to live. The dad was happy that he chose this time to move to Allen. All of these changes were only the beginning for what Allen would become. For the next 20 years, the dad watched as his little town changed into a not-so-little town. As Dallas grew, so did Allen. Each year, more and more was built. The town became less about farming and more of a center for business. People from larger cities such as Dallas were beginning to come to Allen to shop and eat. The town, which only had 4 elementary schools when the dad had moved there in 1993, now had 17. Each year there were more schools opening, more stores opening, and more people coming to Allen. One Saturday morning, nearly 23 years after moving to Allen, the dad decided to go for a drive. As he stopped at a major highway intersection, he noticed that there was a population sign that read 96,357. He stopped and realized just how much Allen had changed since he moved there. While there were way more people, businesses, roads, schools, and developed areas, he noticed that the culture hadn't changed too much. The dad remembered how much he had loved the small-town culture of Allen when he first moved from New York, and realized that although the town had grown, people were just as friendly and tight-knit as he remembered. As the dad finished up his drive around town and pulled into his driveway, he stopped for a moment to think. Although Allen was booming and more was being added, it seemed like each day, he decided that he would be happy if the Allen community would stop and stay exactly as it was now forever.